Aloha, my name is Anna Covert, and I'm coming to you from my battleship here on the beautiful island of Oahu. This week on the Covert Code, the topic is building family legacy. My special guest is Alex Herrera, a serial entrepreneur of multiple companies, including that range from healthcare to solar to taxes, car parts, and more. I've had the opportunity to work with Alex for several years and just am always so impressed with his dedication to the community, family, and just everything he does. So thanks so much for being here today, Alex.
Well, thanks for having me, and I appreciate it. I couldn't have been introduced in a much better way, so thank you.
Well, let's kick it off. I know you had a really fascinating background with so many different things. Give us a quick little overview of how you got to where you are right now.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I guess giving full credit to my wife is really how I got to where I am right now, right?
It's your choice.
Let's start off on the right foot. So, yeah, no, but in all honesty, she saw a lot more potential in me than I saw in myself at the time, so yeah, but I come from a crazy background, crazy lifestyle. I think we all have some skeletons in our closet, some more than others. I closed that skeleton door a long time ago, and I don't open that door. I haven't opened it ever again. But started my passion in the automotive world. Automotive world was really a lot of my passion. I really never went to school for it. I just had a niche for it. I knew how to work on cars. I loved working on cars. I think, what guy doesn't like working on cars and, fast cars, stuff like that. So, that's kind of where I grew up, was in the automotive world. I had some opportunity to open up some businesses in Texas. Some of my first franchises were with Midas and Meineke, and I ran several stores in Texas, with Midas and Meineke. And in 2007, I moved over to Arizona, also, also with the automotive industry and the automotive world, and really just expanded here. It really blew up. I had no idea what Arizona had in store for me, and it really just my entrepreneurship just what I took that to the next level, and a lot of great opportunities here, a lot of networking, and one thing just led to another. With the automotive world. Now I own a automotive shop in the Scottsdale Airpark. It's been there 30 years. This is our 30-year anniversary. And we're 5-star across the board. We're the only Costco certified service center. In the interim, I'm the type of person that I got to stay busy. I always got to have more things to do, right? It's just not enough if I'm not being challenged. I think I work better when I'm under pressure, so I was able to meet other people in other industries and clean energy industries and tax industries. It's really where I started to take off and envision my passion for investing in people. I started really looking into people, and not to get religious on you, but I'm very, very faith-based, and, God walks with me, I walk with him. And I asked him one time, hey, please, work through me to be able to help other people and make other people succeed. And he has been, and he's been doing an amazing job. And in that world, I've been able to help other people succeed. They've come into my life, and I see their potential, and hence how I got into the clean energy spectrum, and I got into the tax world and stuff. I just came across other people and met other people, and networking that was able to grow. It was just been awesome.
Yeah, I love that story. You told me about the tax office and how, you talking to one of your now partners now, right?
Correct.
And then all of a sudden that was going to close down, and you came there and it was like the right time, and you made her that offer, and it changed her life, right?
It completely changed their life. Yeah. Yeah. And I love doing stuff like that, Anna. I really do. I really like seeing the good in people, the good in all people. And don't get me wrong, there's been some people that I see the good in them, but I want more for them than they want for themselves, and they just, uh, and not to sound pompous or anything like that or conceited or anything like that, but they bounce off of me because I guess they just don't know how to take that energy or take that value, and run with it and do something with it. Instead, they've tried to take advantage of me, financially and stuff like that. And it just, in the long run, God just removed them from me, and, there they are back in the same spot where they were when they met me. Right. So it's just, but I love giving people the opportunity to grow, and if I can, help them become what they want to become, both financially and, in every aspect of their life. I mean, I love doing stuff like that. I just, yeah, and I do it quietly, I like giving myself that pat on the back saying, oh yeah, I did that.
And it's interesting because you have so many different, when you like look at your portfolio and we built your company website, right? The AC Enterprises. It's like, wow, there's so many different industries, but they all really work together. There's like this overlapping kind of synergy. Tell me, what does this family legacy mean to you? And what is your vision for what kind of empire you're creating?
Here a couple of years ago, a few years back, when I started the whole solar industry, which was in 2019, was when I opened up Atom Energy, and when I started that whole concept, I really didn't know where it was going to take me. I knew that if I pushed and pushed and pushed in all my industries and in everything I do, I knew that I would be successful, and that, if I stayed on top of it. Um, for me, other people's success is my success. That's the way I see it. More so with my immediate family, with my kids. And, I really, I want to see them all succeed, as every parent would, but I spend a lot of time, focusing on that and making sure that everyone has what they need and is set up for success. Um, I As far as the ANC Enterprises, it's gotten to a point to where I've had to umbrella all the companies. And here sometime back, my wife and I, Carolyn, were sitting at the kitchen table, which is where we do a lot of our work here together. And we were sitting here at the table, and I said to Carolyn, my net worth is growing and growing. I said that I need to sit down with you, and I need you to poke at my mind, because I store everything right here, right? It's one big computer, and I needed her to extract that and put all that in writing, because God forbid anything happens to me at this point, she's not going to know where to go. So anyway, so we did that, and in doing that, we've been doing that and working on that, and I really didn't realize how long it would take me to get all that together, and it's taken me quite a few weeks to get all that together. Everything that's been piled up in my head, and looking at it now on paper is a whole different thing.
But
Now
now
it's
you're
like,
making when we were writing your LinkedIn story, and it was like, and then now it's like, oh wow, now here it is,
exactly. Yeah, it was definitely like that. And, and now I look at it and it's like, wow. Like, I mean, it's like, it's crazy to see from outside the box. It's given me that 60, that 52-foot view, and it's completely different when you're caught up in the box, and you're with, you're go, 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 and you really never stop to breathe. And then when you're finally step out of it, and you're looking down into it, and looking at what you've created so far, it's mind-blowing. It really is. And it's just exciting. It's exciting for me. I love getting into new ventures. I'm getting into this whole new auto parts sales, e-commerce distribution that you're creating for us and stuff. And I mean, it's just so exciting. And now that my kids are older, I've got two boys in the Coast Guard. My daughter Catherine graduated cum laude, and she's going for her master's degree as nursing. My daughter Terry Gina has her bachelor's in music therapy, also a 4.0 student. Nicholas, the baby of the family, is 20. He's moving out, getting his own apartment next month. He's running the auto shop. He's doing all accounts receivable, payable, learning that whole rope. So now I'm creating this whole new venture with this, aftermarket parts, selling online, which I'm sure is going to be a hit. And I'm setting them
Your son now is working for the agency and helping with that, and
yeah, I mean, who was
great
gonna,
job with his social media. We're very excited for him, and his first real job kind of besides the Coast Guard. So it's been, I think, a big learning experience for him personally of like, oh wow, like billing as a contractor and things like that.
Yeah, he loves it. He loves it. And I'm very impressed by what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's really excited about it, and he sends me some of the things that he's creating and stuff, and on Instagram and things like that. And I'm amazed at what these kids can do, and it's just very, very satisfying and very it fills my heart, to know that everybody's going down the right road and everybody's on the right path.
So what's a tip you have for people who are watching, who, here's an example of you being in, not being niche, but diversifying and being successful. But, we know some people, they're not able to do that and then they spread themselves too thin. What is your recommendation or some kind of steps people can implement to know if this is on the right course, if they're walking with God, as you say, or if they're maybe, maybe this isn't something that they should be pursuing? Like, how long do you give it?
Oh, well, several questions there, and I'd I'd have to say that let's go with walking with God first, right? Walking with God is it's really all faith based, right? I mean, it's you have to know that He's with you and that you're with Him, and it's that, and it takes a little bit if you don't know that world, because it takes a little bit to let down your guard. It's kind of like peeling an onion, right? One layer at a time. But when you start seeing that God is a real thing and he works in your life, is when you really start to let go. I've gotten, my relationship with him is so strong that I can have a conversation with him kind of like I'm having with you, and I know that he's answering me because I ask a question and I immediately have the answer. But then you question yourself as to, okay, was that really him or not? And you need to understand that it was, because why would you ask the question if you already had
You knew the answer, right?
right?
And the
So
synchronicities too, right? Like that
it is.
just happen, like I think that that's when you know that you're on the path, at least for me. And I call it more like, I call it God, but more like universal kind of things. But like the synchronicities happen, like it like it all lines up, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And a
You know
lot
you're on
of
the
people see it like a lot of people see it like they put it out in the atmosphere.
path.
Right? Put all your energy, put all the good vibes, put all the good stuff out in the atmosphere, because obviously it's worked for them, right? So it's really dependent on what your beliefs are, where your faith is. If it could be different. The way I see it, at the end of the day, it's all God.
Yeah.
Regardless of how everyone else has their view.
You
There,
call it. Some people call it source, some people call it universe, some people call it God. It's like all this equal
right.
thing to me, it all means
Right,
nothing.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. And I mean, I full respect for all of that, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, for
um,
me, I think about the passion, like, and that's one of the things that I look towards. Like, what am I passionate about? And that's kind of my guider of, it's something that I should be doing or shouldn't be doing. Like, what is my level of passion? And then, we know passion can fade sometimes too, when you might be really into something, and then, well, you've tried it, now you don't have the same energy level, and the passion's starting to fade. Maybe that's your indicator that maybe this isn't the right path for you now. It might have been, but now it isn't.
right. Yeah, agreed. And I think that I think, leading from passion into somewhat of the entrepreneur world and in business world, I think that I, I I'm very much the type of person that if I'm passionate about something that I'm about to do or someone I'm going to help, I I latch onto it pretty hard, and I personally um give it, maybe, let's say for example, I'm helping someone, a person, and whether it be one of my boys, even, one of my kids, I launch into it, and I launch into it hard, as in I start getting everything set up. Let's take, for example, this e-commerce aftermarket world, that I'm about to get in. I've been really focused on it. I've been doing my due diligence. I've been implementing all the teams together that need to go together so that everybody's talking to each other and everybody's doing what they need to be doing. But example, if you can't want it more for a person, you can't want it more for them than what they want it for themselves, right? It's that whole, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, right? So you have to really, it's a hard question because it's, when do you let up on that person, right? When do you get to a point, regardless of of whether it's immediate family or a close friend or maybe an employee that you saw value in? My last employee, I saw a lot of value in this person. I hired her, and I knew, and I know to the day that she's got what it takes and what I needed at the automotive shop. But unfortunately, she just didn't see those things in herself, and for her, as an example, I gave it 2 months, and I gave her the opportunity. I gave her the conversations. I gave her the expectation of, and I think it gets to a point where, everything comes to a head, and if you're not getting the results that we as a person need, then it's time to move on.
And it's
And I think that's when, a lot of people get stuck there, and it's like, now you have a drowning person in the middle of that big, beautiful ocean you have behind you. You have a drowning person back there, how many buoys do you throw at them before they drown, right?
It's true, and I think it's always interesting, that 3-month test period really does. It really, you know where it comes from, because it's kinda like you wanna give, there's training that's required, and you really, and at least for me too, and when I hire someone, it's a really big commitment, because it's like we're contractors, and I know that I'm not gonna be able to be there necessarily to guide them the whole way. So it's like the team, I'm all now asking them to also participate in this process, and so, like, yeah. Right, and so then you're like, "Hey, there's a lot of commitment here," and, like, you don't wanna waste anyone's time, and it's like, "Okay, well, when is it that this person can't swim on their own?" Or I think it's also, like, when people say, "Oh, well, I just, I'm not very confident." Well, you're confident about that, right? So
Yeah.
I think that they, it's like that they don't see it in like you said, they don't see it in themselves, but they're sure that they don't see it. I'm like, "Okay, if you were as sure about your confidence of that as you were in the what you could be doing, then it'd be a different game, right?"
Yeah, agreed. And I think, a lot of the training there, when you're working with an individual that, um, that is not drinking of the water after you've led them to the lake, when you're working with someone like that, I think it's important to touch on all the positives, and to let them know their value, and to let them know what you see in them, because they may not see that in themselves,
That's right.
and it may take a few times for you to show them their value, and what you think their potential is, and I
Well,
think that takes a
labeling.
lot.
Yeah.
Enabling, yeah, and I think that
And labeling in like a behavioral science term is, so if I was to say, if I call you a really smart homeowner, right? Well, I've labeled you that. Now, a smart homeowner buys insurance for their home,
right,
right?
yeah,
Or, you're a really courteous child, or you're thoughtful employee, or whatever. These labeling is a very easy way to add something to someone to make them feel differently about something that you can then control, right? I mean, in a positive way, right?
right.
Or to remind them of, like, oh, that they don't give up. No, you don't give up easy. Remember that time when we had to, do this task, and you were right there at the front of it. Like,
Right.
those are easy things to use to try to, that we even see with children, that can be very effective.
Yes, agreed, and yeah, very effective, especially with children. I mean, a lot of parenting these days, it's right away going to the scolding, right? Going to the
Right.
scolding, and sometimes the scolding, depending on the anger of the parent, it could be belittling, and you have to be very careful about stuff like that. I mean, I think that I personally always lead with love. I just do. I always lead with love, and now, mind you, love can be, uh, you know, it could be hard love. It could be tough love. Right. Exactly. Right. Right. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's all, kumbaya and all the roses are blooming, right? I mean, but you do, if you lead with that sense and you lead with love, I think it opens up our mind, my mind anyway, to be able to approach different things, even when they're negative, in a positive mindset, to set the next person up, or the individual that you're trying to work with, to set them up for success.
Yeah. So when you're hiring, and we've seen kind of a trend, at least when I've been interviewing others, and that, pre-COVID, kind of post-COVID, there's been, pre-AI, kind of now post, in the thresh of AI, we seem to be hearing that there's a lot of changes in, workforce, right? It was people that working from home, back in the office, people, what are your feelings on how things have changed, and how do you relate that to how you attract the right kind of employee?
There's no work ethic whatsoever. There's just, it's not what it was when you and I were, teenagers and looking to get our first jobs and stuff, that there's just, I mean, and it's what was created after COVID, when everyone was sent home and everyone started working from home, and it became the new thing. And this generation now, let's talk about Gen Z,
Yeah.
were brought up in that, and brought up in that way. So they don't want to come to work. You're 9 times out of 10, you pick up the phone and you're calling a company and you're talking to an automated system, at least for the first 10-15 minutes, before, until you tell that system, I want to speak to a representative in 10 different languages.
Right.
Well,
Help, you're pressing every button.
so there's just no work ethic. So to answer your question on how I go about, when I go to hire someone, let's use automotive shop for example, I do the basic steps as we've always done before in the past. I go through 2 or 3 interviews. You pass interview number 1. Now this interview number 2, you're talking to my service manager, and now we're both interviewing you. Interview number 3 is we're walking you through the shop, setting the expectation, where you're going to be, what uniform you're going to wear, at what time you're expected to be here. Here's your employee handbook. And make sure you read it. I need on the last page, there's a signature that you need to sign saying that you read it and you understand it, and setting expectations, setting the rules so that everyone knows exactly, how to go by it, and making sure that we stick to it, so that there is no different leniency or different treatment of any given individual. You treat everyone exactly the same.
Right, because Jane has kids, it doesn't mean that she can be late more than Kevin, who
Exactly.
actually,
Exactly. Right.
yeah.
Right. And I think if you set the expectation that way, then it's just that. Then it's set, and they know what they have to do.
Like, also, like, creating those opportunities where people can learn, or we call it like the Peter principle, right? Like, some people are just happy in a certain spot. Other people are looking for growth, or, but how do you know, like, where they are, and like, and do you have a kind of any thoughts on, how to keep an employee for a long period of time? I mean, do you have set increases in salary? Are there, goals? How do you determine, okay, this person needs a new job or can take on more, versus, oh, they say yes a lot, they're getting overwhelmed now, and now they're starting to backpedal?
Yeah, I mean, we run our companies to where we do employee evaluations every 6 months. With the evaluation, you either get an increase or you don't. Based on how many times you were late, or your performance for those past 6 months. 9 times out of 10, I'm giving a small raise. But if you don't qualify for it based on your evaluation, then you just don't qualify for it, and it gives you another opportunity to do better. And at least the evaluation itself that you sign off on shows you where we see as a team and as a management team where you're lacking and where you can do better. Yes, a lot of people do get comfortable. They get comfortable with their surroundings. They get comfortable with where they're at. I have several mechanics that I have a master mechanic that is in his mid 40s, and even though I know he can do more, I know he's owned his own company before, didn't succeed, but he got a feel for that, and now has gone back to turning wrenches, so to speak. I've asked him if there's other opportunities that he would want to jump into. Me knowing that I'm going to expand the automotive company and um, um, expand as in purchasing another location, maybe opening another location, giving him an opportunity to now potentially be a lead tech or even in the management category. And he doesn't want it. He'd rather just be where he's at, and that's where he's comfortable. And knowing that, hey, there's a cap to this, and again, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, right? I mean, I can see his potential, and I could see that instead of him making $40 an hour, I can get him up to $60 an hour. But where he's at now, there's a cap. I can't pay you more than where you're at because there's a cap to your position,
Right.
So
Or
if you
there are
want
new
more, you have to
certifications or
go
there's new
up.
technology that comes out. Like, is there something else that,
Yeah.
because we see that a lot, at least in tech, and like what I do, it's so fast paced
Yeah.
that you can't be comfortable because
Right.
there is, it's over. I mean, that
Yeah.
is now gone, right? And now,
There's a lot of fear. People have a lot of fear of getting uncomfortable.
yeah,
They just don't know how to do it. They don't know how to be comfortable with getting uncomfortable, and I think I think that's a whole world of its own. And that's another breed that you and I mean, you're that person. I love getting uncomfortable. I love being challenged. I love the next door opening and knowing that, oh my God, this might cost me $1 million. And it's like, man, do I have it? Where do I get it from? Oh, wait, and maybe I can get it from here, or maybe I can do this. And then my mind just starts going, and 2, 3, 4, 6 months later, boom, there it is. And now the door's wide open, and now I'm sliding through another door, and I love that. I can't get enough of that world. But there's people that can't do that. If you were to put in front of their face that, hey, if you step through this door, it's a great opportunity, but you're going to have to call it, you're going to have to put 25 grand down right now, but don't worry, the ROI's there. It's going to come, this and that. They're thinking about that 25 grand, and they're just like, oh my God, what it took me to get this. And now you just want me to just let it out of my hands when I have control of it right here, right now. I don't want to, and that's what holds them back. And there they are.
that's just part of, I think, part of that walking with God kind of concept is that how many of those do you get, right? How many opportunities do you get to change or to step into something? I think that people are listening. It's like, if you're putting it out in the universe that you want something, you want to achieve something, right? And
Right.
these opportunities come to you, you don't get them forever. Like,
No, you don't.
you'll get some, but if you don't take advantage of them, then the universe, or God or source is going to say, you know what? Like, you don't really want them.
I sent the boat. You didn't get on.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool. So what is my last question for you? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Where do I see myself in 5 years? In 5 years, I see myself working out of my lake house in Manson, Washington,
Ooh.
and and
You're not going to come to Hawaii? I'm very disappointed.
I'll come visit, but I just don't know that I can be on the island for life. I don't know how you do that. So I love it. I love it. I love the turquoise waters, and I love the island. But I think I can. The last time I was there for a month, and I was ready to come home. So I don't know how you do it, But I need a little bit more land.
You need to get in a car and drive far, far away.
Right. My son Michael is right there in your neck of the woods, and he's also in the Coast Guard. and he just got back from patrol, and he's got a 2025 Toyota Supra. And I said, hey, I said, have you driven your car? Your car, it's a fast little car. It's cool to drive, this and that. And he says, I can't go anywhere. He goes, everywhere around here is 25 miles an hour. He's like, there's nowhere to go to drive it. So it's just funny to hear him say that. So yeah, so I need space. So yeah, 5 years from now, I'm praying to God that all my companies are running smoothly. My teams are in place. Everyone's doing what they need to be doing. Definitely won't be retiring or anything like that anytime soon, but I think I'll be running stuff probably from the lake house.
Your command center.
My command center. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. You have to come up and visit. It'll be fun.
Absolutely. I'd love to come out and visit.
Yeah.
Well, so how can people get in touch with you and learn more?
Well, you can, I've got several websites. I've got, Sun Energy Today, and all my websites are under the company name. So I've got Sun Energy Today. I've got, Airpark.
I can list them for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
cnlhealth.com. There's ac.company, which is your umbrella company.
Right.
And then we have Atom Energy, of course, Able Energy. If
Yeah.
people can find that one. And but we will include links to Alex's LinkedIn profile in the podcast, so people can reach out to you via LinkedIn and learn more about how they can participate. There's, of course, Airpark Auto Clinic and Airpark Auto Clinic Performance Parts, which is launching soon.
Yep.
I think that's
exciting.
That's them all. The tax office, we don't have that one yet, but
The tax office is under JRP Tax Services.
that's right.
Yep, JRP Tax Services. So, but everything's on my LinkedIn. So, I mean, if you'd be kind enough to post it on the podcast, and if anybody needs to get a hold of me and just wants to chat, just, especially if you're here in the Scottsdale, Phoenix area, if you want to sit down and grab coffee and, see if there's talk opportunities or talk next things, I'm always open and always willing to discuss next opportunities.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me, and I appreciate it.
To all my listeners, please join me next week as I interview another industry expert and a topic to help you succeed on and offline. Big mahalo to all my fans. We just reached 45,000 YouTube subscribers, and that's because of your aloha. So continue to share the content with your friends and family so we can get more great people like Alex on to share their wisdom with us. And I can't wait to see you next week in the Pixels. Aloha.
See you guys later.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Covert Code Podcast. If you're loving the insights we share here, don't forget to follow us on your favorite podcast platform and leave a review. Your support helps us reach more digital innovators like you. Share this episode with your friends and colleagues on social media and help spread the word. And if you're in the solar space or just curious about where clean energy is headed, I'm thrilled to announce my brand new podcast, The Solar Coaster. This show digs into the real stories, trends, and challenges of the solar industry, with bold conversations and powerful takeaways you won't hear anywhere else. Follow the Solar Coaster now so you don't miss a single episode. Thanks for tuning in. See you in the pixels. Aloha.